Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to create this mini calendar that dynamically changes whenever I click on any of the cell. This mini calendar is actually part of my template that I created called the automated task tracker. It's a really cool template. I'm going to leave the link to my previous video if you guys have not seen it before. This template is extremely cool because it will automatically schedule your tasks for you, and you don't need to crack your mind to figure out when to do a specific task. And the best part is, if I'm not able to complete the task, it will automatically reschedule it for me. So it's made me even more efficient and has really helped me to take the weight off my mind, where I don't need to keep thinking on when is the next pocket of time I have to reschedule the task. So do check out the video and I will explain a bit more in detail on how this automated task tracker works. Okay, so for today's video, I'm going to do a tutorial to show how this dynamic mini calendar works. So what are the features I want in this dynamic mini calendar? I want the date of the current month to be in black font, the dates of the previous and the next month to be in gray font. I want the date of today to be formatted differently, and for any of the row that I'm selecting, any of the date that I'm selecting, I want the whole week, or rather the whole row, to be selected and highlighted in a different color. Whenever I click on any of the cell, I just want to move to the previous or the next month date, or alternatively I also want to have two arrows or buttons where I can click to toggle to the previous or the next month. Okay, so let's get started. So firstly, let's do some preparation before we start typing the codes. So I'm going to create a new workbook, and I'm going to save this as mini calendar. I'm going to reformat it to macro enabled file format, and then change the sheet name to mini calendar. And then I'm going to go to view and remove the grid lines so that it's a plain worksheet. So it's my personal preference to have my mini calendar on the top left hand corner, and I want it to start from column 2 and row 2. So we will need 7 columns. So it's going to be from B to H, and I want the second row to consist of the title of the calendar. So for example, current month is May. I just want the month of May to be shown in row 2. So I'm going to start typing the day of each of the day in a week in row 3. So I'm going to start with Sunday. Okay, I only need to type 2 letters because it's a mini calendar. I don't need the full font. So I'm going to highlight all the 7 columns and then reformat it. The first column, I'm just going to reduce the size like that, and then I'm going to change the font. I really like this font, Century Gothic, so I'm going to put that, middle align and center align. Okay, cool. So where are our calendar dates going to go? It's going to go from B4, row 4, second column, all the way to H9. So we're going to take 6 rows, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 columns, and this is the range that I'm going to call in my codes later to fill in with the calendar dates. Okay, so now let's get started with the codes. We're going to go to Visual Basics and we're going to insert a new module. Okay, so we're going to create sub mini calendar. So my personal preference is actually to start typing the concept and the variables, and then I will define the variables along the way. Okay, so for now, for the start, of course, we will have to define the sheets. So I'm going to define minical as worksheet, and then I'm going to set minical equals to this workbook dot sheets mini calendar. This whole subroutine is actually taking reference of the click date. So whenever a click date is selected, so basically whenever I select any of the cells in B4 to H9, mini calendar is being refreshed, but this is blind to the users. We are not able to see it being refreshed, but that's what's happening at the back end. So Excel is actually refreshing the mini calendar to identify and to show us all the dates that is related to the click date, and to show the month of the click date as well. So everything is referencing to click date. and all the dates of this calendar are in the range B4 to H9. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to reset the formatting of the range from B4 to H9. So for each cell in range with cell, we're going to reset the bold to be false. We want the color to go back to the automatic color, which by default will be black. Interior color index to be none. So for this we need to define cell as range, range as range. So that's all we have created, and we need to set what range means. So range is minical range B4 to H9. Okay, so that's the first thing. So this over here is to clear cell formatting in calendar. Okay, so the next thing we're going to start creating the calendar. So like I said, we are going to reference click date. So click date is the main thing that we need to define. For now, we're going to define it as today's date, but later on we will change this. I'll explain it later. So we're going to define click date as today's date. So we will define it here as well. Click date as date. Okay, then I want to identify the first day of month to be date serial, year of clicked date, month of clicked date, and 1 because I want it to be the first day of the month. So now this is the next variable, which also I want it to be as date as well, to be defined as date. So the first day of month, sorry, I just want this to be in caps. Okay, so first day of month will be, so for click date is today's date, which is 19th of May, and the first day of month will be 1st of May. So once I have that, I am going to create the title of the calendar, and the title is going to be in B2 to H2. So I'm going to create with minical dot range B2 to H2. Firstly, I'm going to merge these cells. Then I'm going to assign a value to be first day of month. Okay, so let's run and we'll see it. So now we have it here, merged and first day of the month, but that's not how we want the calendar to look like. So firstly, let's do some formatting. Century Gothic, I want it to be size 14, bold, center align, and let's go to custom and let's change the formatting. Yes, I want this one. I want all the 4 dates. So it's showing you a sample, so I don't want the hyphen. So I just want it to look like that. So if I click OK, yep, that's how I want it to look like. It's a bit too close to this, so I'm going to change this format. I'm going to put 32. Okay, cool. So now let's go back to our macro. Before we go to the actual calendar, let's format the cells containing the dates. Okay, I'm going to change the number format to be D. So basically, if it's like 14th of May, I only want to see the number 14 in the range B4 to H9. Okay, so now let's start filling the first row with calendar dates, with dates starting from 1st of the month. Okay, so define week now, which will be weekday, first day of month. So you can actually type all in small and it will automatically change to caps, which actually shows that you have keyed in the correct variable. So by default, weekday is actually going to assign 1 will be Sunday. So I just want to keep it as it is. because my calendar week starts on a Sunday, so I'm going to leave it as default 1 equals a Sunday. Then I'm going to define this variable called date add equals to 0. So let's add this here, week num as long and date add as long. The first day of month, which is 1st of May, is actually 4. So how does that happen? Let's take a look. So first day of the month is actually on a Wednesday, and I said by default weekday is actually returning 1 for Sunday, so it's 1 2 3 4. So Wednesday will be number 4. Okay, so I'm going to just put it here, week num equals to 4 because 1st of May is on Wednesday. Okay, so let's start filling in the first row. So for I equals to week num plus 1 to 8. So why week num plus 1? We need to add the plus 1 because my calendar starts from week column 2, because I told you guys by default 1 is Sunday, right? But my Sunday is not at number 1, which is column A, it's actually at column B. So because of that, I have to add a 1, and instead of ending at 7, it's going to end at 8 because my last column is in row column 8. So for I equals to week num plus 1, minical dot cells 4, because we are starting in row 4 to key in the which is the first row of dates. So for I dot value is first day of month plus date add. So basically for I, so now we have defined week num is 4, so week num plus 1 will be 5 to 8. So 1 2 3 4 5 is column E, which is Wednesday, which is what we saw, that 1st of May falls on a Wednesday. So row 4 column 5 is where the first loop is going to start, and we're going to assign the value to be the first day of the month, which is 1st of May, plus date add, and currently date add is 0. Then we will assign date add to be date add plus 1. This is for it to continue adding the next date. So for example, when it goes to the next I, which is 6, it's going to be 4 6 value, which is row 4 column F, which is the 6th column for Thursday. It's going to be first day of the month, which is 1st of May, plus date add would have become 1. So 1st of May plus 1 equals to 2nd of May, and it's going to be 2 here. So it's just going to continue like that. So we can run the code to see how it looks like. So yes, you can see we have 1 2 3 and 4. Now the next thing we want to do for the first row, we want to fill in all the blanks before the first day of the month with the last few dates of the previous month. So we're going to fill the first row with last few dates of the previous month before the first day of the current month. Okay? For I equals to 2, because starting from column 2, 2 week num, which is 4, 2 3 4. Okay, we are not going to override this, so we're going to stop at week num, which is column 4. What we're going to do is minical dot cells row 4 I dot value is going to be first day of month minus week num plus I minus 1. Okay, let's see why this is so. So we use this as a reference. Okay, so what did I say? I said first day of month, which is 1st of May. We minus week num, which is 4. So we minus 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 27th of May. 27th of April. And then we're going to plus I minus 1, which is 2 minus 1 plus 1. And that's going to give us 28. So again, it's a bit complicated because I'm starting on the second column. If you're going to start on the first column, you just have to plus 1. And it will, or just have to plus I, and it's just going to bring you back to Sunday. So once you do that, the next thing I want to do is I want to change the cell formatting. I dot font color, I want it to be gray. Then we'll go to next I. Okay, so we can run this to see. So we have 28, 29 and 30. Okay, so next we are going to fill in the subsequent rows. So it's going to be easy because for subsequent rows, if you look at this, for example, now we have already defined 1st of May here. If you look at the row below, it's actually a plus 7 days from the row above. So 1st May plus 7, 8 May, 8 plus 7 gives you 15 May. So what you're going to do is we're going to just type the value to be the previous row's value plus 7 days. That's how we're going to do to get these subsequent rows. And when the date, the month of the date is not the same as the current month, we want to show it in gray. If it is, then we will just not run any code, and by default it's going to give us black. Fill in the subsequent rows with dates. So for row num equals to the row number 5 to 9, we will go by each row. We fill up all the columns first. So for row 5, we fill out all the columns and we move to the next row. So that's why we're going to define row first, and then call num equals to 2 to 8. So what we're going to do is minical.cells row num call num dot value equals to minical.cells, same thing again, row num call num dot, we're going to offset to find the previous row, which is minus 1, 0, because we're not going to change any of the column, just looking at the row above, the value plus 7 days. And okay, then we're going to check if the month of this row num call num dot value, okay, the month of this, if it's not equals to the month of the first day of month, then I'm going to change the font color. So I'm calling this entire cell again. So the font color, I'm going to change it to gray. If it's the same month, then I'm just going to leave it as it is because it will automatically be black color. So we'll move to the next call number, and then we'll move to the next row number. We'll do this entirely for the range from B5 to H9. Okay, so now we have introduced two new variables, row num and call num. So we'll go up and define these two variables. Okay, so let's run this. Yep, we have all of it here. So let me just do some formatting. I'm going to change this to Century Gothic 12, center and middle line. Okay, looks nice. So we're going to save it. And now I want to format today's date to look different from the rest of the dates. Okay, so for each cell in range, I'm going to check if the cell value equals to today's date. If it is, then I'm going to do with cell font.bold equals to true. Font.color is, I want it to be white because I'm going to put a dark interior color, pink shade. So dot interior color will be 204.128.132, and then end with, and we will exit the statement once this is true because we don't want to keep looping. So we end the if statement and go to the next cell if that's not true. So there's no new variable here, we've already defined everything. Yep, so today's date is highlighted. Now the next part, we are going to highlight row of the selected date. For each cell in range, if cell.value equals to clicked date, basically any of the date that we're selecting, then I want to retrieve the row num to be cell.row. So I want to assign the row of the cell. So right now, if you recall, our click date that we have defined is today's date, which is 19th of May. So the row of this is going to be 7. So that is what I'm assigning to row num, which is the cell row. And then I just need to exit 4 because I don't want to keep looping, and then we end the if statement. If you did not find, then we'll proceed to the next cell. Okay, so now once I have the row num, which is the 7th row, I'm going to loop every value of the 7th row within the range of B7 to H9. And if the cell is not date, then I'm going to give a different color formatting to highlight the whole row. And if the cell value equals to the today's date, then I'm just going to leave it as it is, since there's already a format for today's date. For I equals to 2 to 8, so if minical.cells row num, which we have defined earlier, I dot value, if it's not equals to date, then I want to change the interior color. Sorry, there's no font. It's just interior color to be RGB 249 234 248. If it is today's date, then we don't need to say it again because it's already defined. So end if and next I. Let me do the alignment. So that's done. Let's run it. Yep. So you see, because currently we define click date to be 19, so this is highlighting the whole selected row. But what's left is when I want to click, I want it to change. So that is the last thing that we're going to do to make this into a dynamic mini calendar. So for that, we will have to go to the mini calendar sheet. So we have to click into this, and then we're going to create a private subroutine. Worksheet selection change by val target as range. First thing, we are going to define minical as worksheet. So we set minical equals to this workbook.sheets mini calendar. Okay, so if target.cells.count is not equals to 1, then I am going to exit the sub and not do anything. Okay, so next, if not intersect target range me.range b4 to h9 is nothing, then. So basically what I'm saying is intersect target, I am referring to what I'm clicking. So if there is an intersect between target and the range B4 to H9, so basically if it's not nothing, which means if there is an intersection, then I want to assign click date to target.value, and then I want to call mini calendar subroutine, and I'll run click date in the subroutine. So we end the if statement. Okay, so and sub. So now we have defined a new term here, click date. So I'm going to put it here. Okay, so now that's done. We will go to the mini calendar subroutine. So over here, we're going to put this click date as date. We're going to copy this and paste it here. And since now we are going to reference it to whatever we are clicking, so let's take up this assignment of today's date to click date. Okay, so let's save it and let's test it out. Yep, so you can click to the previous month and it's working. So now what we're left to do is to create a toggle to go to the previous and the next month. Subroutine for previous month. Okay, and then we're going to define previous month date as date, define minical as worksheet. So firstly, let's set minical equals to this workbook dot sheets mini calendar. Then I am going to assign minical dot range b4 value -1. So why is that? Because b4 is the first date in this whole calendar. It might be referring to the previous month, but in certain situation when the first date of the current month falls on Sunday, to play safe, we will just -1 to call the previous value. And then we'll call the subroutine mini calendar and we'll run previous month date to be the click date. So it's going to refresh to show the previous month. So we're going to copy this thing and we're going to do the same for next month. So for next month, we just have to change all the previous to next. So this remains the same. This will become next. And for the range, we are going to call H9, which is the last value of the range. And instead of -1, we're going to +1. So this one will also be next month date. Okay, so now that is done, we will have to insert an arrow. So I'm going to put this black. Doesn't matter what it's filled because I am going to reduce the size. So for ease of seeing if the size fits perfectly, I'm just going to do it here. Okay, this looks okay for me. So I'm just going to copy and then change the orientation. Click away so it's easier to click back. And then I'm going to put it back here. Okay, so just for it to look nice, I'm going to do an alignment to the top. Move this a bit to the left. Okay, so now I'm going to assign macro to this. This will be previous month. For this, I'm going to assign it to be next month. Okay, so let's test it out. Yep, alright. So that's about it for today's tutorial on how to create this mini calendar. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.